Welcome everyone to our December coffee chat about how to create your index Seminum and manage incoming orders using IrisBG. I am Laura Knudsen Murray. I am the GIS coordinator and community outreach assistant with IrisBG. With us today is Shanna Jones, our amazing community outreach assistant, and Ivan Rustin, the founder and CEO of IrisBG. The recording, presentation, and other material will be made available in our knowledge library. All of our previous coffee chats can be found here in the category articles and presentations. You can also follow the topic IrisBG coffee chats and be notified via email every time something new is published. The idea behind these sessions is that we at IrisBG would like you to connect with your peers and chat about issues that may arise with your work with your collection. We don't have a fixed format for these, so please get in touch with me if you would like to present a challenge or talk on a topic. We're accepting proposals for the 2023 coffee chat sessions, so please don't be shy if you have an idea that you would like to present. Hopefully you will make some new connections today, and together we may become a little bit wiser. This map is an overview of the institutions represented today. We'll just launch a poll real quick to gain a better understanding of who's here and their expertise. What's your level of expertise using IrisBG? Novice, intermediate, advanced, or still trying out the trial version? Great, it looks like a good mixture, 38 advanced, 38 intermediate, and 23 novice. Great. Our presenter today is Anne-Catherine Scheen. She is curator at Stavanger Botanic Garden. She has a PhD in systematic botany from the University of Oslo and moved back to her hometown of Stavanger in 2010. And she's been at that garden for 12 years. She started using IrisBG as a PhD student in 2003, and she's currently preparing an index Seminum using IrisBG for the 13th time. A true expert. Glad to have her. Without further ado, I will pass the presentation over to you.
Well, thank you, Laura, for that kind presentation. I was asked by Mari Rustan and Eivind Rustan to talk about how we in Stavanger use IrisBG to both set up, create our index Seminum, and also how we manage the orders. It is my understanding that although there are quite a few gardens now using IrisBG, we're not that many that have gotten the store module, which is the one you use when you want to do index Seminum in IrisBG. So I'm just going to do a quick presentation of the garden and the area where I'm at. This is my hometown on a beautiful day. As you can see, well, this is the old part of the city center. We're on the southwest coast of Norway. We have fjords in our adjacent area. We have sandy beaches. We have small mountains, not the really spectacular kinds, but still. And the Botanic Garden is just outside of the city center as neighbor to the campus area of University of Stavanger. And we're a municipal garden, which is the reason I'm using the logo for the municipality of Stavanger. So here's a map of Norway and an arrow pointing to the Stavanger region so that you know where I'm placed. As I said, Stavanger Botanic Garden is a municipal garden. It's started in the early 70s on a private initiative. Inga Høie thought the area needed it needed a botanic garden. And at that time, we were transferring into becoming an oil nation. And Stavanger is also the hub for the oil industry in Norway. So we had a lot of international workers moving into the area. The garden is 8 hectares, which is approximately 8 hectares, which is approximately 20 acres in size. And we're small staffed. There's currently 3 permanent staff in horticulture. We've had some seasonal workers in addition, and this year we also had a transfer from the municipality. So we're hoping that will be a permanent position starting next year, so that we'll have 4 horticultural staff starting 2023. Likewise, the number of scientific staff has increased. It's been only me for the past 13 or 12 years, but Louisa Gustafsson, our upside down participator today, is my new colleague. So the two of us now curates both Stavanger Botanic Garden and our sister organization, the Rogaland Arboretum in the municipality of Sandnes. So we've increased the number of scientific staff, but also the workload. The main collections in the garden is a herb garden, which is the oldest part of the garden, showcasing all the plants we as humans have used for various purposes. There's a perennial garden, which is popular among the public, but the most important part to me is what we call the geographic garden, which is where we showcase plants from other parts of the world. And there's a small arboretum in the garden as well. I've added the link to our Garden Explorer, so you can look at more details about the garden if you want to. I'll just give you a teaser by showing you a few images. So this is the herb garden, or the purpose garden, a picture from the perennial garden where plants are placed according to a color theme. And this is part of the geographical garden, where we have part of the North American collection to the right and part of the New Zealand collection to the left, which are collections that don't often meet in the wild, but in Stavanger Botanic Garden, they do. Right, but what I was asked to talk about today was index Seminum and how we manage that in Stavanger. So you'll see a lot of screenshots from the database, but what we have that many of you might not have is the store module in IrisBG. And in addition to that, or with the store module comes also a few other reports that might not be available to you today. Our index Seminum is available online, and I've listed the address here. And of course, we make a PDF version as well that's also available from the website. I think, but Eivind will be able to answer this after the talk. I think these are the licenses and services you need to add if you want to use the store module in IrisBG. But yeah, I won't get into that in detail. That's for other people to answer. But what you see, the image here is seeds that have been prepared and packed and are ready to be shipped out using all the labels that I can print out use from the database once I've set everything up. So the store module is what you need if you want to do like we do in Stavanger. And you see it here in the register on the left. The store module has 4 different applications. Stock items, catalogs, orders, and store configuration. And store configuration is really something you set up once and then rarely go into. So I won't talk more about that. But what I do use this time of year is the stock items application and the catalogs applications. And once that's set up, what I then spend the rest of the index Seminum or seed exchange season doing is dealing with orders in the orders application. That's where you do the day-to-day handling. I'll give you some more details, and we're starting with stock items application. So what I've done here is I've searched for any plants that are listed as origin spontaneous plants, meaning wild collected plants, and anything that's in stock. And since we did a very limited index Seminum last year, and we haven't really gone collecting on a large scale, there's only 2 current items in stock that were wild collected in Norway, and they were both on last year's index Seminum. So this is where I would start the work for preparing next year's catalog. I would probably say that, well, I pronounce it at Jasjone Montana, Giussani, Montana, perhaps in English, but at least it was collected in 2019, and I think it's not worth putting it out on next year's index Seminum. So I would change that from in stock to out of stock and remove it as an active asset. Whereas the other item here, I might offer a second year around and keep them as in stock. Searching here, you can search for things that are in stock, things that are out of stock. You can search based on which year they were collected. You can search on the origin, and we separate widely collected plants from the plants that are collected in the garden. And we also have an origin for the Rogaland Arboretum, because we have in the past offered seeds that were collected in the Arboretum as well. But you can search in different ways in here. So in your stock items, you have a register of everything you've offered at one point, or everything you have among your seeds in the garden if you choose to use it like this. So here's where I spend a lot of time in the beginning of season setting up my index Seminum. When I've done making the changes of what is now out of stock that was previously in stock, I move on to adding new items. And this can be done manually. For instance, for wild collected seeds, as you can see where I've added the provenance wild here. If you want to just keep it as part of your index Seminum and in your stock items, but not as an accessioned item in your accession database, you can do it manually here. If you're an IPN garden and you want to add IPN numbers to your items, you need to have accession numbers. And you would start then by going to accessions as you would do with any kinds of seeds coming into the garden. And that's what I normally do with seeds we provide. I also give them accession numbers so they're in our database at all levels. So what I then most often do is I write in the accession number. In this case, I wrote 2019.138 and then pulled up all the informations connected with this particular accession. So as you can see, this is something that we received from, well, you can't see it from the data here as such, but you can read it from the IPN number. We received it from Vienna, and it has an IPN number, which then is still linked to these seeds as they go out to other gardens. We received it as the wild collected material going out from our garden. It goes out as garden material of wild origin. And any data that is in the accession database related to this will then be imported into the stock items connected to this particular seed item this year. And I would add that we collected it in 2022, probably before saving this. But this is the way you can add to all the items that you want to add to your index Seminum. So this is, again, takes some time depending on how many seeds your garden has collected and how much new data you need to add to this part of the database. And if it's something you've collected in the wild and you don't have an IPN number for it, but you would like to, there's an arrow next to the IPN number, which is inactive in this case, because this particular seed also already had an IPN number connected to it. Otherwise, I believe that's where you click on that arrow, and then Iris will generate an IPN number based on your institutional IPN code and your accession number. So this is where you set up everything and prepare everything, all the seeds that's been collected. Then the next step is to move on to catalogs and the catalog application to set up this year's index Seminum. And starting out, rather than pulling out the collection edition, you start by clicking the 3 dots that I've highlighted in the red frame here, and that'll give you this window. And here you can see a list of all the previous index Seminum or indices Seminum we've prepared in the past. Most of them are closed, whereas the one from 2022 is still open. I had to open it to get the screenshots I needed for this presentation. Usually I would close that as I start preparing next year's index Seminum, which I've done here, and it's in yellow in prep, which means I can still add and edit the catalog. Anything that's either open or closed here, you cannot make changes to. But this is where you set it up. So I've started by getting ready to make a catalog for 2023. It's in prep. I've set the valid to date, which means order by date. So you can set that up there, and you can also set a limit to the number of items you will let people order in here. So this is what you do as a setup. Doesn't take very long. This is easy to do. Going back, you want to pull up the catalog edition you're looking for. You can look at something that's in the past that is now closed to see what did you actually add to the catalog of 2010 or whatever. In this case, I want to work on the 2023, and now I've pulled up all the things that are in stock. And the only box I've ticked so far is the one wild collected item that I would like to add to next year's index Seminum. So you tick off all these seeds that you know are in stock and you want to add to it, and you click save. And this is something you can do repeatedly over days if you want to. Anytime you pull it up, it'll show either the box is ticked, meaning it's in your catalog, or it's not ticked, meaning it's not in your catalog. And then once you know that you've added everything you want to do and all the boxes that need to be ticked are ticked, you can then click finalize. And that's when your catalog changes from in prep to open, and you're ready to move on to set up your website or the online version of your catalog. So having come so far, what you then need to do is turn to reports. And here you see that I have under reports, I have something called 10 store with various different reports here. Some of them I use, some of them work in the background, but here you find reports for setting up your web store online. You can find the reports that are needed for handling orders in IrisBG. And also, I think, which is really neat when you do it this way, you get, if you take advantage of the options that are in IrisBG, you also get good statistics of what you've sent out this year. So if you take care on marking seed items as out of stock when they actually are out of stock, you at the end of the year, you can get statistics saying that 15 gardens wanted this particular item or this particular taxon, but you only had enough seeds to send out to 5 gardens. And then this way you can also see which taxon are the popular ones, which are in high demand, where you would try to next year maybe try to collect more seeds if you could, because it's in high demand, or which plants have not been ordered once in the past 5 years, maybe it's not worth going out collecting it. So you have reports here to take all these, or to get these statistics out of IrisBG at the end of the season. But what I want to do to set up my online version is to go for the 2 reports that are called Pub 01 and Pub 10. The publishable store catalog is an XML file of everything you put in your catalog in the last that you ticked off before finalizing. So you need that to make a PDF, but also to upload the data to the online version. And you also need a publishable store contacts. And if you click publishable store contacts, this is the window showing you what you can, you have more options of what you want to export and how you can sort your contacts. So I usually make 2 reports. I use name starts with to pull out my garden as a test. So the first version of my online index Seminum, I always send only to me, so I know everything works before sending it out to all the other 270 what have I contacts on the official list. You don't want to send them emails when things aren't properly set up yet. And then I can pull, my contact list is rather larger than 270 odd gardens. So I've tagged all the gardens that I have active seed exchange with the tag seed exchange. That way I can pull them out of the database and then ignore all the other ones where I don't have an updated email address, or maybe it's commercial nurseries that are not going to be on the seed exchange list, and all other various reasons. But then I export this contact list as well. So I have my catalog as an XML, I have my contact list as an XML, and I have a test contact list, which is just for me to test everything. And then I set up the PDF with the same catalog list. And this is again just to illustrate what it looked like last year. And to tell you that all these data you export from IrisBG, or some of it at least. So there's I've added a front page with our logo. I've added the desiderata page at the end with the contact information and the terms and conditions. And then in between these, I have all the seeds that I've added to the catalog. and split between things that are collected in wild, spontaneous plants, and the garden collected plants, and yeah, and you can divide how many ways you want to do it. I've done a bit of editing to make it nicer to read, or at least that was the intention. And then this is what the Index Seminum webpage of Stavanger Botanic Garden looks like. You'll see the yellow notice, it's closed because this is last year's, and the order by date was in March. But since I haven't set up the new version yet, this is what I have to show you. I've added the address again in blue on the top of the page. But here's, I think it looks really nice the way Eivind has set it up for us. There's a bit of some information about the garden. There's some information of the classification we've used. I need to make some updates there before next year's version. There's a link to our website. Terms and conditions are also here, and you don't see it on this screenshot, but it does say by ordering, you're complying to these terms and conditions. So that's a prerequisite to order. And when the edition is open, there's also a link to the PDF that I just prepared. So to get here from having all these files ready, you upload them to this web page once you've logged into the administration version of the web page. You upload these, and once you've tested it and know that everything's okay, you say send, and then the website sends all these emails to all the contacts. And what they get then is they get a user code and they get a password that they will need to log in to place their orders. So once, as a customer on the receiving end of these emails, you have to have your login data because I've set my Index Seminum so that only people who are registered can order. You can open it to anyone, but that means you might have to reject a lot more orders that come in. So people, they can look through what I have on offer, tick the boxes that they want to order, and then place their order. And as they do that, they get a confirmation by email on with the list of the things and the seeds they've ordered. I get a list, equal list with the same information, what's been ordered. And this is also sent to IrisBG, and I can handle that from the orders application in the store module. So I turn back to IrisBG, and you see I'm in the store module, but the orders application. And this is where I manage all the incoming orders. We still receive orders by regular mail. We still receive orders by email. And here you can add all of these manually by finding the contact in your database or adding it as a new contact if it is from a garden you haven't corresponded with before. You add all the catalog numbers they've requested, and then you can save it as an open order. I can also click on the right-hand side. You see there's a save button, there's web orders, there's labels, there's complete all, and there's out of stock. And all of these are used regularly when I do this. The way I set up when I handle my orders, I might add them as they come in. And then once a week or once a fortnight, I will deal with all the open orders, prepare all the labels and all the lists, and then ask the horticultural staff to help me prepare and pack, and then send everything off. And then I'll add all open orders as completed when they are completed, and then repeat the process. So I'm in here on a weekly, if not a daily basis in the season where we send out seeds. But for now, I'll show you what it looks like if I click the web orders, because there is still an open web order from last year. We did not send seeds to botanic gardens in Russia since the war in Ukraine. But this is just then to show you that the contact information we have in our database is listed here as assigned contacts. But when they order, the Botanic Garden can update their information, and I can then copy it. So if there are changes to email addresses, postal addresses, contacts, reference personnel, whatever, this can be very easily updated, and you get the information from the Botanic Garden rather than having to search for it and make mistakes. So that's a nice feature, I think. So I get a list of all the incoming orders I can accept or reject, and then move on. And this is just, I've agreed with Vibeke that I could show what they ordered from us last year. It was just one single specimen or item. But this is what it looks like when I have accepted the order, and in this case also completed it, because I did this. Vibeke placed her order 31st of January. I didn't deal with it until 28th of February. But I used labels to print everything and then set this as completed once we had sent it out. And this is the process that I keep doing. Here I can make changes too. So for instance, if this particular item she wanted had been out of stock, or I sent her the last remaining seeds we had, I could then click on out of stock and mark that catalog number 1 is now out of stock, which means that anyone trying to order it later I would get a notice that, we don't have any more of this particular item. So you can manage your stock items through orders once when you deal with all the handling of orders during the season. Once I've decided to deal with and have accepted the incoming orders and set everything up, I open up labels to print item labels, contact labels, and packing slips to hand over to the horticultural staff who will help me. And this is another really nice feature because it saves me of a lot of work, I think, when everything is set up this way. So I'll show you what these different files will look like. I get them as Word files. And this is what the order labels will look like. I can print these on self-adhesive stickers and just stick to the little seed envelopes. That way, sealing the envelopes and also keeping information on what's inside it. So it's easy for everyone to read, and all the information that's in the database or in the seed catalog will also be printed onto each and every envelope of seeds. And in this case, there's just one item of each of these catalog items, or one order of each of these catalog items. But in some cases, when you do a bulk of orders, some of these seeds will, 8 gardens will want one particular item, and then 3 gardens will want a second item, and it varies, but it's easier to do it in bulk this way when you get all these labels, and then I just sort them afterwards. To make sure that I've sent out the correct seeds to the correct gardens, I use the packing list to verify that I have everything prepared that they asked for. If some of the seeds have been out of stock, there'll be a cross or an X at not available. So the garden will know that they ordered it, but we couldn't provide it because some of the seeds are in short demand or limited in limitation. But this way, again, the garden gets all the information in our database a second time. And this is also easy if you need for customs to show what's in the packets. This is a good list too. And then finally, this is what the contact labels will look like when they go out, and again, saves me a lot of time when everything is just a click of a button away and then you print it. So this is what I do repeatedly during the season. I run through these cycles of adding orders from the web or manually, pulling up the labels, asking the horticulturists to pack everything. I mark it as completed, and then I do a new circle or cycle. And this way I get good statistics at the end of the season of what's been requested, what we've sent out, which gardens they've been sent out to, and I've saved a lot of time, I think, in the process of doing this. So with that, I think then you're set up to create such a mess of, or such a glory of seed packs to go out to gardens throughout the world. And that's what I prepared for this presentation. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Anne Catherine. This was great, a great overview.